Well, now, this week's guest is the aforementioned Paul Thomas Anderson, one of the most unassuming people you could meet, especially for a man with 11 Academy Award nominations. You're going to hear our talk about his new film, One Battle After Another, after this clip from the movie.
Rise and shine.
Bat an eyelash.
Good morning.
There are no hands on the clock.
Why?
Because they're not needed.
What time is it?
I don't remember that part. All right, let's just not nitpick over the password stuff. Look, this is Bob Ferguson. All right, you just called my house. Let's cut the. I need the rendezvous point.
What time is it?
Look, Steve Lockjaw just attacked my home. I lost my daughter. This is Bob Ferguson. You understand?
Right.
I don't remember any more of this. I don't remember any more of this code speak. All right, let's just get on with what is the rendezvous point.
And that is a clip from One Battle After Another. Delighted to say I've been joined by its director, Paul Thomas Anderson. How are you, Paul?
I'm great.
It's very nice to see you.
Hey, nice to see you.
Excited to talk about your movie after all these years?
I kind of am, yeah.
How long has it been from the original idea?
Too long. It's embarrassing. I kind of wish I had never told the truth about how long I've been writing it, because no one should ever write something for that long.
Well, the figure I saw was 2 decades.
I remember writing pieces of it in 99 or 2000, sometime around then. Very little of it has survived since then, but enough. It's true, yeah.
So is the spirit of the story the same?
I think it is. I think I had the spirit of the story. I think that's a great question. I think I had the spirit of the story and some specific trappings. Car chases, a desert, there was a bounty hunter, there was evil forces, there was a pursuit of some kind. Very broad, general way to think about something. And I've just kind of dialogue written down. And some of it survived, but obviously has changed and moved.
The origin being the Thomas Pynchon book, who you worked with before with Inherent Vice, but that's very loose, as I understand. I haven't read the book.
Well, it's funny because, it's the classic definition of it is, but it isn't, which is a really irritating thing to say. But the bounty hunter story that I had from 20 years ago is completely separate. Vineland has a terrific, the center of our story and Vineland are very similar. What happens when a group of ex-revolutionaries kind of crumble in on themselves, or revolutionaries crumble in on themselves and disband? Vineland kind of picks up with a character named Zoid Wheeler living in the woods with his daughter Prairie. And because of the 80s Reagan administration coming in, they've kind of decided to cancel all previous deals with anybody who'd ratted anybody out back in the old days, And so significantly more complicated than our story. I think we sort of stole and ran with the simplest premise of what happens when your past comes back to haunt you.
It occurred to me in the first half hour of the film that this is a kind of a politically fraught time to be introducing a movie which begins with an act of kind of leftist-inspired terrorism, for want of a better word. And I wonder if that's what Steven Spielberg was addressing when he said this film is more relevant now than when you started writing it.
Yeah, it's funny though, isn't it? Because my feeling about it is the more things change, the more they stay the same. How could somebody start writing this movie 20 years ago? Me. And how could Thomas Pynchon start writing a movie? Him, put it out in 1984, and still somehow these things all still make sense. I mean, I think that leads to the very nice line in the film that Perfidious says, which is 16 years later, the world had changed very little. I think that the point is we may think that we're changing a lot, but we are still the same, seem to be acting as the same idiots that we always have.
Okay. So this leftist group at the beginning of French 75, so are they like Weather Underground?
That's the idea.
Late 60s, early 70s?
Yeah, we stole all that from there, that kind of idea. What happened?
They were incompetent, really. They're the only people they blew up with themselves, so...
Hey, they did. They didn't get far. It's true. They did blow themselves up, and a building in Greenwich Village. Yeah, an entire building went down. I took the idea of the Weather Underground and just throwing them up into a contemporary situation. What would happen?
You don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows.
That's right.
And so on from there. So Leonardo DiCaprio is a main character. He's certainly on the side of the buses around London. He said he's wanted to work with you. He was close to doing Boogie Nights and then he couldn't do it because he was doing Titanic. Is that true?
Well, it's not that gray. It's a bit more black and white than that. He decided to do Titanic instead of Boogie Nights.
That's a choice.
That's a very big choice that he made with his life. And he's had to learn to live with it.
Yes. I think he said he regrets it.
I've made him suffer for 25 years. years. I think it was a very tough decision for him to make. I think at the time I was not a proven filmmaker at all. I was kind of starting out. We really connected. We immediately kind of hit it off. I think that he'd been in enough films that no one had really seen at all, that he kind of felt like this is an interesting opportunity with James Cameron. So he made that decision. And the funny thing that kind of gets looked over in this story, and this really speaks to his generosity. At the time, he had made The Basketball Diaries with Mark Wahlberg, which hadn't come out yet. And he said, I can't do this movie, but you should really talk to Mark. I know you, because everybody thought of him as the underwear model at the time. He was in his Calvin Kleins and he was kind of a rapper and Marky Mark, you know, and Leo said, take him seriously, meet him, he's your guy. And he was so generous in handing that off to Mark. And like anything, you get the right person, you know. I know we got the right person. Mark was the right person for that part. Leo wasn't probably the right person at that time for that part. So these things always end up, you get the person you're supposed to get.
Yeah. You have a fantastic cast working throughout this film. And after about an hour, I did wonder if this is going to be the film of the year. And I kind of think that it probably is. That's what I told Mark anyway. So I don't know what he thinks. He's going to be seeing it very soon. So Leo plays Bob, and he's the father of Willa.
That's right.
Played by this extraordinary actor who has the incredible name of Chase Infinity. Her presence on the camera is astonishing. Can you just explain how you came to work with Chase Infinity?
Well, I'll tell you exactly how. I guess I prayed enough to the movie gods that they delivered me the promised child. I don't know if it works like that. I have to hope and think that it does work like that, you know, because I got lucky. I mean, I knew I would try to get Leo for this. This would be great for Leo, and Sean can play this part, and Benicio can play this part. And oh my gosh, I've got Tiana. Now you go on down the list of all these terrific actors, but to find a girl to play a 17-year-old, very specific, she has to be mixed race. She has to have the physical abilities and martial arts, this kind of stuff. Finding that, you need to find somebody new, you know? So you go through a search that you're prepared to take years or however long. And we did. We searched for years. And when she came our way, it was like, it was just meant to be. Terrific.
Well, the movie gods have clearly said, okay, we'll grant you this wish. Is it right that you filmed the ending first with her?
Yeah, the very first stuff that we shot was them in their house together, you know, to really understand the beginning of their relationship. So it's their breakfast table conversations. And the first time I don't want to give too much away, but they're kind of nagging at each other a little bit. And then maybe they're reunited at the end.
Maybe. Who knows? And the car chase, is this your first car chase?
I mean, it sure feels like it. I might have.
Absolutely.
In Licorice Pizza, we had a car chase that was a non-car chase. It was just a car going backwards down a hill, but it was.
Yeah, I don't count that.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
So where do you film that? Because that looked like a stretch of road I hadn't seen in a film.
Well, thanks for saying that. I don't think you have. I think it's in the kind of eastern southern part of California desert between Borrego Springs and the border of Arizona. And it's a stretch of land. I should really remember what the highway it is called. I'm going to get that. But we just called it the River of Hills because it was just like this kind of long river of rolling hills. And yeah, hopefully no one shot it before but us, kind of virgin territory.
I wonder if people are going to go to the River of Hills in future and they're going to do the ride.
Wouldn't that be cool? That would be cool.
I suspect they will. Can I ask you about the music? Because you work with Johnny Greenwood again. I should say before I forget, Magnolia is one of my favorite films. And I was not really a student of Amy Mann until that.
Is that right?
Film.
Uh-huh.
And Great Tears Supertramp all the way through a movie. And we lost Rick Davis, of course, very recently. But anyway, so
yeah.
Music is always very important to you. You've worked with Johnny Greenwood many times. This is the 5th time you've worked with him. What did you ask him for?
Okay, let's think. I mean, I think one of the nice things about collaborating for that long is that there is no beginning, middle, or end. It just kind of keeps going. So there's material that maybe he's presented to me that maybe didn't fit before, but maybe now has an opportunity to fit. You have a little bit of that. Talked about something percussive in terms of energy and propulsion. And percussion also including piano. I'd heard I would noodle around with some piano stuff that I had heard before. So that came to life. We got into a little Baden Powell obsession for a little while, so that leads to some beautiful guitar stuff. It was kind of all over the map and how to kind of make it seem cohesive because some of the direction was a bit all over the place. But he's the earliest collaborator, one of them certainly, and has the script and gets dailies, and he gets to see the direction that the movie's going. we are blessed by having some demo music that he has sent me and that we play while we watch dailies each night to see how things are lining up. And then I can send to him. So it's constantly in motion. There's kind of no beginning, middle, or an end. Like I said, it's just kind of always happening until we get to narrow it down. He's the first person that sees the movie as it's being cut along. Every 10 minutes, we send him 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. They're very intertwined, I guess, is a long-winded way to say we're stuck together.
I came out of the movie wanting to see it again straight away. And then when I've seen it twice, I shall then listen to the score because I feel as though I want to see it again and see all these characters in this story that you've created all over again, because I think that's what people are going to want to do. You shot on VistaVision.
Yeah.
So 35mm high resolution. Why? Can you explain to a layman why you chose that?
Well, VistaVision, obviously, maybe for those aficionados who remember, it was something that Hitchcock used a lot, North by Northwest. The Searchers, John Ford shot VistaVision. So terrific films that not only are large scale, that is a large format for beautiful large vistas and things like this, but also can get right in there close, nice big close-ups, and you can see everything that's happening in an actor's face. I really fell in love with the format. Well, at first really came to it in 2012 when we were testing things for the master before we got into that. But in 2019, Tom York and I made a short film called Anima, and we shot with this format. And it became really clear to me, like, we did these blow-ups to IMAX and showed Anima around town. And it became clear to me that this was going to be a format that I love to work in because it could do big and it could do small at the same time. Really versatile format. It's nice to see it making a comeback. And the thing that we've done that I think is very special is, here, at least in London, 3 cities in the States, we're going to have VistaVision prints, which is something unless you were around 61 years ago going to the movies, you won't have seen before.
I didn't take a pen into the screening, so I didn't have anything to write it on. But I think Benicio del Toro's, is it "Freedom is no fear"? I wanted to write it down and then forgot it almost straight away.
That's right.
Is that the line that he has?
That's right, yeah.
I wonder if that's sort of almost at the heart of the whole film, really.
I hope so. It's funny when you kind of look back at the film, when I look back, I see just how many people are talking about freedom through the whole movie. And Bob says it kind of early on. He sort of improvises that he's talking about freedom with this young suitor who's come to the door, who he's really beaten the hell out of, right? But the "freedom is no fear" line comes from Nina Simone in the great documentary about her. An interviewer asks her, what does freedom mean to you? And she says, I have no idea. I have no idea. And then like a bolt of lightning, she says, hang on. I know what it is. It's no fear. That's what it is. It's no fear. That just sort of rang through my head so much. And it kind of, by the time we got towards the end of the film, we were shooting that stuff with Sensei to put that in his mouth. But it has to become like Sensei would say it. So he kind of has his own version of it. Do you know what freedom is? No fear, just like Tom fucking Cruise. That's
right. Like, I should mention, it's absurd. There are many times in this film where you will laugh. That's a great line.
So.
But no, it is. But it's particularly the white supremacists, because you have to laugh at these people, even though they're terrifying and hideous and appear to be back. But laughter is such a vicious tool.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean? It's a weapon, sure. You got it. If you're not laughing, you're going to be crying. So I think that's my weapon of choice right now for this film. It works well, no?
It does. It absolutely works well. Would you say the moral of this film is don't forget your password?
No fear. Don't forget there should be a checklist. Don't forget your password. No fear, just like Tom Cruise. Oh, I like that. That is the moral center of the movie. Don't forget your password.
Paul Thomas Anderson, thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.